So for day 21 of Halloween nail designs, I am doing what I was originally planning to be a brain design, but ended up kind of looking more like intestines. So this is like a brain slash intestine look here we're doing. To start off, I'm painting all of the nails with, I think this is Digital Diva from Nails by Dev, and I only do one coat of this on all of the nails, and then I cure that for 60 seconds. And I only did one coat because I'm putting a 3D sculpting gel on top, and it's going to cover pretty much the entire nail. But I did want to have a base layer down, so if any of the nail wasn't covered, you weren't just seeing like clear nail. There is this pink color underneath, so it matches with the actual design part. Now I'm taking the pink trippy gel from Nails by Dev, and I'm using this to create the brain or intestines, whatever you want to call this. And I just take a small amount of it and then just kind of roll it out into like a worm, I guess, or a noodle, a tube, whatever you want to call it. And then I try to do it pretty thin so that way it wasn't like sticking up super high off the nail. And then just kind of laid it on the nail in a squiggly kind of way. Also, I left the sticky layer on the nails because these sculpting gels, I don't know about all brands, but I know with Nails by Dev and Ball Pit and those ones you can buy off of Timu, I think is where I bought the first set of sculpting gels that I used. They always stick better to a sticky base. So, like, if you do a base coat or if you paint the base of the nail with like a gel polish, leave that sticky layer because it just sticks to the nail a lot better. If you put a top coat, whether it be shiny or matte, it just doesn't stick very well. Like, it has a hard time sticking to the nail for some reason. So I always recommend having a sticky layer down, whether it's from, um, your base coat or you just painting a color on and then leaving that sticky layer on. Um, I'm struggling a lot with these gloves. They were a wee bit too big and they kept like wrinkling up whenever I was trying to roll the tube out, and then it would like make a lump in the gel, and then like mess up me rolling it out and stuff. So I kept having to like pull the fingers of the gloves down to try and like tighten it up a little bit so they weren't so wrinkled. But this was the smallest size that I have in gloves, so I had to just make do with it. And as always, since I'm using 3D sculpting gels, I have to give my warning on them. Um, don't touch these with your bare hands, please. I know that a lot of brands are still showing and advertising that you can, handle this stuff with your bare hands, but you can't. It's gel. Uh, it has acrylates in it, and if you do continually expose yourself and be touching these with your bare hands, you're going to end up with an acrylate allergy, whether it be HEMA or whatever other acrylates are in the gels. Because even though something does say it's HEMA free, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get an allergy. I actually just saw that. MelodySusie, they were advertising one of their drill bits, and they like showed flooding on the nail. Someone commented, how about we don't like advertise getting gel all over your skin or whatever? And then they commented back that, yeah, that's the best practice, but our gels are HEMA free, TPO free, whatever else free, so they're allergy free. That's not true. Just because there's not all these different whatevers in them, and they're all like, HEMA free, TPO free, 21 free, whatever free they say. There's other stuff in there that do cause allergies. So it doesn't matter. You don't handle this, like, don't handle the 3D gels without gloves. Don't be getting stuff all over your skin and just, painting the nails all crazy and flooding your cuticles and everything all the time. You want to be very cautious with how you're handling things, because that's how the allergies develop. That's why the acrylate allergy is so like prevalent, I guess is the word. And why so many people have an acrylate allergy now is because, COVID and all the DIY, everyone doing DIY nails and stuff, and not doing any research and just getting it all over their skin. And that is the whole reason why the acrylate allergy is a huge thing. And it's not just with gel either. Like, you can get this from doing dip and acrylic, gel X, all of it. So you do want to be very cautious, and specifically with these sculpting gels, wear the gloves. I know sometimes, even if it does say that it's non-stick and it won't stick to your gloves, it still does stick sometimes. I mean, if you're handling it a lot and you have it in your hands a lot, it is going to warm up and it's going to get sticky. And sometimes they're just sticky to begin with anyhow, even when they say they're not supposed to be sticky. And it's sticking to your glove does get annoying, but just have some alcohol there on the side that you can apply on the glove to help prevent the sticking. Because it's more annoying than having gel stick to your glove, having an allergy that you cannot get rid of, that not only is it going to make it difficult and possibly impossible for you to do your nails ever again, it also is going to affect if you're able to get, certain dental procedures and certain surgical procedures and stuff. And like, because And also using like certain products outside of nails. Like I've mentioned before how my moisturizer that I use for my face has HEMA in it. And HEMA isn't a bad thing, it's just how you use it. And if you're using it improperly, like, yeah, you're going to have issues with it. You're going to It's just like when you improperly use anything else. You don't use bleach properly, like you can cause issues with that. You don't use your car properly, you can crash that and that causes problems. So you just have to be doing your research and using things the way they're intended to be used and using the safety precautions that are needed for them in order to avoid these, situations. Because like I said, if you get an acrylate allergy, depending on which acrylate you're allergic to, because like I said, there's so many different acrylates out there. Not only HEMA is the number one that people are allergic to because it's in the most products, but it's not the only one. So that's why I say, even though something says it's HEMA free, that doesn't mean you're not going to get an allergy. You still can, because there's other acrylates in there. So you just want to be super careful with it and using things properly. And like I said, HEMA is in other products outside of just nail stuff, so you're not going to be able to use those products. It's in like hair products and uh, facial products, and I don't know what other products it's in, but it's in so many different products, and you're going to have to constantly be looking at the labels now if you have a HEMA allergy to make sure that that's not in whatever product you're using. Otherwise, you're going to have a flare up of this allergy. And then, like I said, there's other acrylates. So, depending on if you're allergic to these other acrylates as well, you're still going to have to be looking to see what contains these acrylates in them, because it's not just nail products. And on top of it, you have to let your medical professionals know so they know not to use these certain acrylates on you if you need to get, a cavity filled or something, or you need to get some sort of surgery done. I think like they use it for like hip replacements or something, for like fusing the bones or something. I don't know. I know it's like, but they do use HEMA for that sometimes. And the only way to know what acrylate you are allergic to, if you suspect you have an allergy to an acrylate, you have to go to an allergy specialist and you have to get tested and do the allergy testing, and you have to tell them specifically that you suspect you have an allergy to an acrylate, and then they have to test you for all those acrylates. I think now, because HEMA allergies are so like popular right now, and like a lot of people are getting HEMA allergies, I think they are starting to just include that in a general like allergy panel, just like they do for like dust mites and roaches and different types of grass and whatever. Um, at least I've heard that they're just including it in now because so many people are becoming allergic to HEMA from, DIY nails and all that. So either way, if you suspect you have an allergy, you got to go to the allergist and tell them and have them run a full allergy panel on that stuff and figure out exactly which product it is or which acrylate it is you're allergic to, and then figure out, what products, not only nail products, but, everyday products that you can and can't use because of it. Like, it goes so far beyond just not being able to do your nails. Like, it affects your everyday life and it affects it for the rest of your life. So, just want everyone to be safe and to be able to continue to do nails as well as to not have to, gut out a whole bunch of stuff that they may not be able to continue to use, or, have issues when it comes to medical procedures that you might potentially need in the future and won't be able to get because you have this stupid allergy that is preventable. Um, so, yeah, that's my little spiel there of wearing gloves and why it's so important to wear gloves. And any brand that says that their products are safe and that you can handle them without gloves and that they're allergy free, do not believe it. It's not true. Wear the gloves, don't get the stuff on your skin. If you do get it on your skin, get it off immediately. Um, Make sure you wash your hands after you're done doing anything with these products as well. Even if you don't think you got it on your skin, it is safe practice to just go ahead and wash your hands afterwards to remove any type of residue or anything off of them. Also, even with wearing gloves, like, they have to be like a specific thickness and a specific material, and you got to change them every now and then, um, which that's a whole nother thing. But, like, at least just make sure you're wearing gloves to protect yourself, and don't handle this, especially these sculpting gels, non-stick gels, 3D gels, whatever you want to call them, clays. Don't handle them without any gloves, please. I don't want to hear about more people getting allergies from doing this. It's just not worth it. And like I said, I know it's annoying to have it stick to your glove and to have it stick to everything and have to either change your gloves 16 times because they keep sticking, or having to wipe alcohol on them. But trust me, it's a lot better than potentially risking your health for, a stupid little nail design. Your health is more important than that. So just take the proper precautions for everything. Use things properly, cure things properly and fully, and you'll be good to go. Like, use things how they are intended to be used and the way that they say they're supposed to be used, and cure them for the full time that they're supposed to be cured, and you should be fine. I mean, there is always the possibility, even if you do follow everything the right way and do everything correctly, that you could still end up with an allergy, but it is less likely that will happen. So please, 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 please be safe, be smart, do your research if you're new and you're a beginner, and don't listen to anyone that says it's safe to touch this stuff with your bare hands, because it's not. I'm sick of all these brands just advertising and saying that it is safe when it's not. And then you'll have people in the comments saying, don't do this. And then, you have other people that are fighting them and being like, well, it sticks and blah, 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 blah. Shh, no. It doesn't matter if it sticks or not. It's not safe. But if you want to run the risk of getting the allergy, fine, be my guest. That's on you. At least I did my part to, inform people and properly inform people, and not, give this misinformation that it is safe to touch, because it is not. And that is my, biggest problem with the nail industry, is, the advertisement of not using gloves for these 3D products. I know there's a whole discourse on wearing gloves when just painting nails and all that. That's a whole nother thing that I'm not getting into right now. But specifically for sculpting gels, clays, whatever you want to call them, 3D gels, you definitely need gloves if you're going to be handling it with your hands, like I am throughout this. If you're just scooping it out and putting it on the nail and using like a brush or cuticle pusher or silicone tools, then I mean, you don't have to use a glove. I've done that before. But yeah, if you plan on using your hands to do the sculpting, wear gloves. Um, Anyhow, I'm done with that rant. That took the entire time of sculpting to rant about that. And after I get all that on, I cured it for 60 seconds. And now I'm going in with this Blood Effects gel from Nails by Dev. I've used it a couple times um, before in a couple other videos that you've probably seen by now. Um, but for this, I'm just going in between all the little like ridges and like smushing it in there. Like if it's a hole like where I'm putting it right now, I'll really smush it down in there, and I'll just go over like the cracks and like ridges and wrinkles of the brain. I'm calling it a brain because that's what it was supposed to be, but like I said, they kind of ended up looking more like intestines rather than brains, but they were supposed to be brains, and I'm calling them brains because that's what they're supposed to be. But yeah, I'm just going in between the little cracks and everything. I'm not trying to be precise or neat or anything because, I mean, if you look at a real brain, it's gonna be all nasty and covered in blood and goo and I don't know what else. Um, so I'm just kind of slapping it on there, uh, tapping it, smushing it, painting it, all in those cracks. Like I said, not trying to be clean at all. It looks kind of funky at first, but once it's all on, like it really pulls it all together. And then I do go on the sides as well and will fill in any gaps like I did right there. So I guess realistically, painting the base of the nail didn't really matter. I didn't have to do that, but it did help to have that sticky layer so that the 3D gel actually stuck to the nail. Um, so, I mean, realistically, I could have just painted on some base coat and had that be my sticky layer, but like I said, I just wanted to make sure that if you could see the nail at all, you weren't seeing just a plain clear nail. You were seeing that pink if you could see it at all, which ended up not being able to see it at all because I did cover it up, but still. Um, just in case, so it wasn't weird looking and just a clear nail. So I went through, applied this to all of the nails, just in those little cracks and crevices and wrinkles and whatever. And then once I got it on, I did go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. And then after getting that on, I was going to top coat the nails, and I decided I was going to use my Jinbei top coat because it was thin and I felt like I'd be able to get a nice thin layer on it, and it could go down in those like wrinkles and crevices and whatever. But then I ended up not liking how it looked top coated. I don't know. I felt like when it wasn't top coated, it had a little bit more texture going on that I really liked. And then once I top coated it, it kind of took away all that texture and just kind of made it smooth. No matter how much I wiped off and how thin of a layer I did, like I was really trying to thin it out right here and like wipe off a lot of the top coat because I wasn't liking how it was looking. So then I decided I wasn't going to top coat this set because look at that pinky compared to the rest of them. Like it doesn't look right to me. And I didn't like how it looked. Now, if you like how it looks and you want it to be top coated, you can go ahead and top coat it, but I didn't like it. It looked smooth. It took away the texture that I really liked, so I just went in and I wiped all that off with some alcohol. I went in with a lint free wipe first, wiped it off, and then I took a cleanup brush, dipped in alcohol, and scrubbed it and really got in those little cracks to make sure that I got all that top coat off. Because going back to my rant that I went on earlier, don't want uncured gel on the nail because that leads to acrylate allergies. So wanted to make sure that was all off. I scrubbed it several times to make sure that it was off. And then I went in on the rest of the nails and did the same thing. Scrubbed them off. Got that sticky layer off that blood gel because that blood gel does have a sticky layer, but you can just wipe the alcohol off and you don't have to top coat it if you don't want to. And so that's what I did, and I really liked how it looked there. The 3D gel you also don't have to top coat. It does cure without a sticky layer. Um but it is kind of matte when it gets cured, so if you wanted whatever you did to be shiny, you have to top coat it shiny, or you can matte top coat it if you want a more smooth finish or whatever, and you don't want the texture from the gel. But I just, like I said, went in with this cleanup brush and some alcohol, scrubbed the nails off. I also did go in with some lint free wipes and wiped them off and soaked up any extra alcohol that might have been sitting on the nail as well, just again to make sure that all of that was off and I wasn't having any sticky uncured gel and stuff on the nail, because the sticky layer, the inhibition layer on gel, is actually uncured gel. Because I don't know, for some reason gel polish, like regular gel polish, or like a if it's not a no wipe, when it the top layer doesn't cure because it's exposed to oxygen, and so that's why it doesn't fully cure, and it has that sticky layer that's just uncured gel. But when you apply another layer of gel on top of it, it will cure, because it's covered up. So it's just that very top layer if it's not a no wipe, which is so weird to me. Like, how do they make it so it does cure? Like, I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I just know that's what I've read. Um, I don't know. You can do your own research on that if you care about that. Anyhow, this is the finished result. I really love this set. I've mentioned plenty of times before that I love gory Halloween sets. This is gory and gross, and I love it. I will say the thumb is the one that looks the most like a brain in my opinion, whereas the rest of them, they kind of just look like intestines. But like I said, I am just calling this a brain set because that was the intention for this set. But it can go either way. brain or intestines works. Whatever fits, whatever you're going for, you can call it whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm super happy with this set. I love it. It's gross, it's gory, right up my alley. Exactly what I like for Halloween is the gross and gory stuff. Um, but you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. And honestly, I think, I'm not even gonna lie, I feel like doing a whole set like this is a little much, even for me, which is kind of crazy to say because if you've seen my other sets, I do a lot. But having all of them be like this is, yeah, a little much. I probably would stick to doing like one or two, having like an accent nail like this, and then doing a set that matches instead of doing all five. But if you want to do all five, you can do all five. I did. And I mean, it's cool looking, but I don't know. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.